PR Connections Radio presents.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Professionals Podcast. I am your host, Rachel West. I am an empowerment coach. I specialize in mental fitness and addiction recovery, and I have the belief that when we take the time to get to know others, we find that we have a lot more in common than we do different. And that is exactly who I bring on here to my show is professionals who are willing to tell us their story and how they got to where it is that they are today and some of the things that they have had to overcome to get there. Today, I have a very special guest. Her name is Ressel Yu. She is the executive director of Junior Heroes Academy, a seasoned mindset coach, empowering young minds to play, learn, and thrive on the entrepreneurial playground. Welcome to the show, Ressel.
Thank you so much for having me, Rachel.
Yeah, so we're going to jump right in, and I'd love for you to give a quick 5-minute or so background in how you got to where you are at today.
Boy, 5 minutes, that's all I get. I think it's very similar to a lot of entrepreneurs out there. Probably about 10, 15 years ago, I was a stay-at-home mom. And I realized that I wanted to do more with my life than just raising kids. And I started actually a candle business. Ooh. And I realized in that moment, after about 2 years and a lot of money later, that I wasn't treating that as a business. It was treating it more as a hobby. Mm. And through all that, I learned a lot of things about myself that I didn't know how to authentically communicate to people. I didn't know how to show up. And when I finally did realize how to do all those things, I kept saying to myself, if I had all these skills when I was younger, I would have been a lot further along than I was at that time. So I decided to start teaching kids business skills. And I started with my 10-year-old at the time. His name is Xander. And I don't know if I told you this, but I taught him how to start an Amazon business. And really, it was more for him to learn how to think as opposed to what to think, right? And after about 2 years of selling products on Amazon, he was generating about $25,000 a month. And I started teaching other kids how to do the same thing. Again, it wasn't really about the money. It was about the life skills, the business skills that schools didn't really teach. Mm-hmm. And that's why I decided to start Junior Heroes Academy, because I wanted to give these tools to the kids so that they can have the skill set to really be able to play full out and navigate through life and business with a little bit more ease and grace.
Yeah. What was that moment like when you realized that something wasn't working and you needed to switch from being a hobby in candle making and creating this academy for kids? What was that moment when you knew something's not working and something needs to change?
The moment was when I was feeling very overwhelmed, and I was struggling trying to get the business. And there was a lot of, I kept hearing a lot of negative self-talk, that doubt, those limiting beliefs and those limiting decisions. And it seemed like every time I took a step forward, I would take 2 steps back. And I realized in that moment, it wasn't unconsciously my programming and my fears. I was being triggered in so many ways. So at that point, I started really investigating why I wasn't able to move forward. And that's when I discovered the power of the unconscious mind and the unconscious mindset. And from that point, I started working on myself, and I started working with the kids too, with their mindset. And boom, things began to change, not only for me, but also for these kids, right? they became more empowered at such a young age. And I think for many of the entrepreneurs, we learn too late in life about mindset and about how powerful our upbringing and our unconscious mind really is.
Yeah. Can you briefly touch on the unconscious and the programming for somebody who might be where you were and they have no idea? They're in that hobby making business right now. They're like, I want this to grow, but I'm doing all this stuff and nothing's working and I'm not really making that much money at it, but I really want this.
Right.
Talk more about the unconscious and the mindset and how that plays into what being an entrepreneur, and how they can learn more about it like you did.
Mm-hmm.
They can become aware of the things that they're not aware of.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's a really good question. These are really powerful, hard-hitting questions. I really wasn't prepared for all of this. I thought we were just going to talk about unicorns and marshmallows.
Oh, no.
That didn't happen. Okay. So we have two sides of our intelligence. There's the conscious, and then there's the unconscious. The conscious mind is 10% of your intelligence. So that is very aware that we're in this podcast. It's very aware of what we're doing. It's the decision making, right? And it only will attract 10% of the things that you have in life. The other side of your intelligence is 90%, and that's your unconscious mindset. That is like it creates like these subfolders, all your memories of the things you've ever eaten, the experiences that you've ever experienced, words that people have said to you. It's all stored in there. And so what happens is your unconscious mind, because it is so powerful, it is the largest attractor field to the things that you bring into your life. So if unconsciously you're thinking, I don't deserve to have a business, I don't deserve to be successful or anything like that. Well, what happens is we begin to either self-sabotage, we procrastinate, we put other things, other people ahead of our own, and therefore we don't succeed in anything. So what's really important is to understand what you're saying in your unconscious mind and in that programming, and start clearing those away. I wanted to talk actually about triggers.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know how to. When I was going through my entrepreneurial journey, I realized that I hated speaking, not just in front of, many people, but just even one-on-one. I would get really nervous. I would get really scared. And I would be triggered when I knew that I had to speak, and I would create scenarios and experiences so I wouldn't have to speak at any event.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized at that point that my unconscious mind created those situations so I didn't have to do the thing that I needed to do.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what's really important, is when we recognize that we are triggered somehow, we have to dive deep into those shadows and understand why and how those triggers were created, so that we can blow it out of the water and not be triggered by it anymore, and be able to move forward in your business and become more successful. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah. So what are some things, if you know, that people could do if they're in that spot and they are triggered by something, or they're procrastinating on something, or they're not sure, sometimes we don't know what the problem is. So what is something you do on a daily basis, or what did you do in that moment that you said, wow, I learned about this and I started doing this, and then that helped me learn this? What was that thing that you did to help you?
I don't know that I necessarily took the most traditional route in that. I guess what I would recommend is being able to look at that situation or that experience, not just through your own set of eyes, because sometimes we can be, we may not necessarily see the truth of that because we're fueled by emotions, but rather take a different perspective. Look at the situation from a third party point of view. And also look at that and ask yourself, what am I supposed to learn from this? Why am I being triggered? Where is it coming from? Where else am I seeing it in my life? Who did I learn this from? So that would probably be one tip. But for me, because I'm also certified in emotion code and body code, I was able to actually tap into my unconscious mindset and clear those limiting beliefs, clear the imbalances that created those triggers and those thoughts and also those behaviors.
And do you have to know the trigger or the event to be cleared?
As far as like with when I'm doing a session with emotion code or body code, you don't necessarily need to know the event. We just need to address the unwanted behavior. And then from that, we're able to ask the unconscious mind, what are the imbalances that are creating that behavior? Like we were talking about procrastination, right?
Yeah.
If we were to say, okay, if you were suffering or dealing with procrastination, we would ask your unconscious mind, what is it that's creating this behavior? And then things will start coming up, and then we're able to just address it and then clear and then move on. And you'll find that after that, you procrastinate less and maybe not even at all.
Wow. So you learned about these tools. You decided, hey, if I knew this when I was younger, this could have been so helpful. So you created the Junior Heroes Academy so that you could gift these tools to the kids. And when you are sharing this, what is their reaction to learning this new information that they haven't known until they came to your academy?
Their minds are blown. They have so much fun. We call it the entrepreneurial playground because it really is about playing. And we teach them this thing. I call it the being a human lie detector. And essentially it's just muscle testing. And we play these games and we teach them how to tap into their unconscious mind and know what the truth is. And their eyes just get really big and they're like, I can't believe this is happening. I have to tell you a funny story about that. When I was teaching Xander, my youngest, I taught him how to do muscle testing and to try to find the answers to things. And so we would go around the house and practice. And he was homeschooled at the time. And he was about to take a test. And rather than you know where I'm going with this. Rather than actually thinking about the answer to the question, he muscle tested for the answers. He got 98%.
Wow.
Yes. So when I found out that he did this, of course I was like, you should really study. But then at the same time, I'm like, good job, boy.
That's clever.
Yes, exactly.
So is there a certain age range that you work with, or is it any child?
Generally, we start at age 12 to 17 because we're able to hold their attention longer. We have tried with younger kids, but they just want to play, right? At 12, they're more eager at that point.
What do you want us to know? What do you want to share? What are you working on either within the Junior Heroes Academy or within the Emotion Code Body Code? What are you doing?
Well, I'm very excited to share that in the next 2 years, we're going to be launching a huge fundraiser. the Entrepreneurial Playground Kids and Business Expo. And we're going to have 100 booths. We are going to be reaching out to Clark County School District, the local high schools, and they're going to be given the opportunity to have a child represent that school. And that child is actually going to be partnering up with a local business here. And for 6 months, they will be mentored by that business. And at the end of that, we're going to have 100 booths, like I said, and that business and that child is going to be able to showcase what they learned. So let's take, for example, and I don't know if we can say like Costco. I don't know, hopefully we can say use their name. If they mentor a child for those 6 months, they're going to have a Costco booth. And the child can be the only one talking and representing Costco. And people are going to walk around and learn about the business through that of a child. Well, what's really great about this mentoring opportunity is not only is that seasoned business going to be able to teach the child business skills, the things that help make them successful, but that child's going to also be able to give back to that business owner. The kids of today, they are just whizzes, right? With technology and with social media, that maybe that business owner didn't have those skills. So for those 6 months, that child's really going to be talking about the business, what they're learning, how they're progressing, and marketing and advertising for that company. And at the end of this, we're going to have a grand prize of $50,000. 10% of that is going to go to the school that they're representing, and the other 10% will be given to the business owner that mentored them.
Wow. That's
So
amazing.
That's a lot of fun. That's going to be a lot of fun.
How can people find out more information? Reach out to you directly? I know that's a few years out, but that's amazing. How can they do that?
Well, they can check out our website. It's www.juniorheroesacademy.org, but definitely reach out to me. Right now, we are looking for sponsors. We're looking for business owners that would be open and willing to mentor children. And we're also going to be holding monthly education series. Because I know for me, I didn't know how to network. I thought it was just, hand a business card, talk about your business and move on, right? But we actually teach them how to build a relationship, how to really authentically show up and build a community and get to know other people, right? On a personal level, as opposed to just business. It's about building relationships. We also teach them public speaking. So there's a lot of things that these kids can learn, but also the parents learn something too,
Yeah. That's so amazing. I love that program. Yeah, please let me know when that's launching and I will share it and support it any way I can. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. So, what does being a professional mean to you?
A professional. I would have to say that being a professional means that you have your own perspective, your expertise in a certain field, and really owning that. Not just about being lip service, but actually experiencing it. Like for me, as an alchemist, right, and a mindset coach, I had to go through my own learnings and my understandings before I could actually do it. I think I had heard recently, learn, do, teach. I think somebody said that.
Yeah.
Yes. So learning your craft, doing your craft, and then being able to teach that thing, because then you also get to, when you're teaching, I think that's what you said, right? When you teach it, you're learning something again.
Yeah.
And I loved when you said that. It really hit home.
Yeah, it is an amazing process because when you learn something, you do it. When you're doing it, you're learning more about that thing. And then when you teach people, you're learning it from a different perspective.
Exactly.
And then
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So it
And
is.
do you find that when you're teaching it, that you're learning something new?
Yes, you are.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
I think
it's a
that's the
great
best part.
cycle to do. What message do you want to give to kids today?
The message I want to give to them is that nothing is impossible because even the word says, I'm possible,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
So dream big, play big, and just keep shooting for the stars because you know what? Your dream is so important. And I wish that I had that as a child, having somebody to support me and encourage me and inspire me to go after the things that I wanted to do. And I want these kids to just to play full out and
Yeah.
just go for it.
Yeah. And what message do you want to give to professionals today?
Professionals, you know what? Go out and play. It doesn't always, it doesn't have to be work. When it becomes daunting and it becomes not fun anymore,
Hmm.
find the joy in it again and just play and be childlike
Yes.
and take those risks. And even if you fail, if you're going to fail, fail magnificently because then at least you're going to learn something, right? And failure means that you're trying to do something new.
Yeah. What's the best way for people to connect with you?
The best way would probably be through social media on Facebook or Instagram. Um, they can also reach out to me through our website, the Junior Heroes website. And if they're local here in Las Vegas, you know what? I'd love to meet you. Let's go out for coffee, go out for tea. I think that's really the best. That's what's missing, I think. In this day and age, everything is so technology oriented. Like, let's meet through Zoom. That's great. But there's just nothing that beats a personal one on one connection.
It
There's
does.
just something different. It's a different energy.
It is a different energy, definitely.
Yeah. And there's a lot of cool places
There
in
is a
Vegas.
lot of cool places. And so, what's your final message? What do you want people to take away today?
Oh gosh, so many things. Um, the final message is you are absolutely worth it. Don't ever think that your dream isn't as important as somebody else's, and that if it's meaningful to them, then go out and do it.
Hmm. I love that. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it. This was a great conversation. I love
Me
where it
too.
went. And thank you for being so intimate and vulnerable. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you, and I just love talking to you. And this was just the best part of my day.
Yay, it's so exciting. Well, we will be back next month. Are here on the first Wednesday of every month. That's September 6th for another episode with another special guest. We'll see you then.